Welcome to my Life Coach Who broadcast, and this week we continue to talk about rejection, and I'm going to be talking about some ways of dealing or handling rejection. So I'll dive right in. Number one, know that rejection is part of life and it cannot be avoided. I believe that's a good place to start, to just know that it is part of life. It happens to everyone. So when we know that when rejection happens, we are in a better position to deal with rejection in a healthy way. I remember when I started, I gave an example of a statement that I saw on social media. Very simple statement, but full of truth. The statement said, you cannot be liked by everyone. You are not money. You cannot be liked by everyone. So when you know that, when rejection happens, you are in a better place to handle rejection in a healthy way. So know that rejection is part of life and it cannot be avoided. Number two, love yourself. Know who you are, know whose you are, know the value that you have, know your worth. You need to love yourself. When you love yourself and rejection happens, you will not see you as a reject, as being useless. We will not hear statements like, I am no good, I am useless, I am good for nothing. No. A person that knows their value, their worth, and they love themselves, you will not say statements like that when rejected. You know, I gave an example earlier on of a person who receives an organ transplant. Because this organ transplant is coming into the body to help a defective organ, but the body recognizes it as a foreign substance and it will attack it. So they put the people on what we call anti-rejection medications. So I was thinking, if this organ that's coming to help the body, that is a defective organ, if it could talk, it would probably say, you know, I'm here to help you. If you don't receive me, it's not my loss, it is your loss. I believe if the organ could speak, that's what it would probably say. And I want to say to you, if you know your worth and you know who you are and whose you are and you love yourself, you will say in certain areas of rejection that it's not my loss, but it's their loss. And you have to believe it. You have to know. It's not enough to just say words that you don't believe. You really have to believe that you are created for a purpose. You really have to believe that you've got value. You have to believe it. So when rejection comes, you'll be like, oh, it's not my loss. It's their loss. Tough luck on them, because they are missing out on a good employee if you're applying for a job. They are missing out on somebody who is faithful, who has integrity. But if you don't know who you are, you cannot say those things. So very important to love yourself. And remember, the word of God says, love your neighbors as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. My question to you today is, do you love yourself? Do you know your worth? Do you know your value? Do you know who you are and whose you are? Very important. I believe this is one of the most important things to know when it comes to handling or dealing with rejection. And then number three, don't take things personally. Refuse to be bitter. When you are rejected, do not take things personally. Refuse to be bitter. You need to operate in the opposite spirit. You know, as I said, rejection is part of life. So that means everyone goes through rejection. So you never know who you are dealing with. So maybe when it's rejection at a personal level, extend grace. Don't take things personally. You never know what that other person might be going through. So I've realized it's very important to be full of love, to be compassionate, and not to take things personally, and refuse to be bitter. Refuse to be bitter. Number 4, know the difference between you as a person being rejected or your qualifications or skills. Oh, this is very important. When we face rejection, it's important to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, is it me that they are rejecting? Or is it the qualifications or skill sets that I'm bringing to the table? Because sometimes rejection, let me tell you something. In some instances, rejection can actually be a good thing. It can be a harsh reality check. It can be a way of saying, you know what, I've been rejected in this area. Let me go and improve myself. Let me work on this area. You do an inventory check to find out what needs to be done. So it's very important that you know when a rejection happens in some instances. Ask yourself, is it me that's being rejected as a person, or my skill set or my qualification? I'll give just an example that's crazy. I am a registered nurse by profession. If I go to a hospital and apply for a medical doctor position, I can apply. I believe they can allow me to apply. If I see an advert in the paper, I can apply and give them my resume or CV, and then they would determine whether to take me or not. But if they come back and say, no, unfortunately, you do not qualify, and they reject me, I should be real with myself to say, you know what, though I want to practice as a medical doctor, but I do not qualify. So let me go to medical school so that I can qualify to be a doctor. So it's very important when rejection happens in some instances to know the difference between you as a person being rejected, or it's your qualification or your skill set. I know, I'm a pastor as well, and I preach about God qualifying the unqualified, but it applies in certain instances. So just know the difference between you as a person being rejected or your qualifications or skills. What are you bringing to the table? Number 5, don't focus or dwell on the rejection. Move on. Sometimes I've seen people dwelling so much on the rejection that they are stuck. They get stuck. They can't move on. And sometimes when you dwell so much on a rejection, or you meditate so much on that rejection, you get so many revelations. Oh, it's painful. So I encourage you not to focus on that rejection. Learn from the rejection. Take lessons from the rejection and move on. Don't meditate and just continue to think about what has happened, the way you've been rejected. Move on. Do not focus or dwell on the rejection. Number 6, seek help from a therapist or from professional help. And depending, I talked in one of my episodes, I talked about the types of rejection. Depending on the type of rejection, sometimes it's important to seek professional help. It's okay to seek help. If you know you can't deal with it by yourself, reach out and get some help. It's okay to get help. Number 7, love never fails. I talked about self-love, loving yourself, but it is also important as we deal with rejection to know that others around us are also dealing with rejection. So I need to be full of compassion, as I said earlier, and to just love, love, love. Even when I've been rejected, when I face rejection, love never fails. Love, love, love never fails. I don't know how to emphasize this. Very, very important. It goes back to the point that I spoke about, not taking things personally. You never know, what people are going through. I've had, in my experience of working with a lot of people, I've had people that I work with in my business that, go through a lot, but people don't even know. And I just say to myself, if only people knew, they would act differently or do differently. So love never fails. Let's continue to act in love and walk in love. Number 8, last but not least, pray, read the word of God for the renewing of your mind. It's very important. I am a faith-based life coach, and I believe in prayer. So take time to pray, take time to read a lot of the word of God, where you'll find your identity on who you are and whose you are. And probably, as I shared today, there's probably nothing new to what I've said today, but I want to encourage you to just practice some of these things. It's one thing to know something, but another to apply it. So I'm just encouraging you, put them into practice. Again, thank you for watching. And as always, I encourage you to follow us, like us, subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel at My Life Coach 4. Thank you, and I hope you have a great, purposeful day. Thank you.